Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Senior Leader Series. Today, I'm with Mr. Wes Miller. He's the Assistant Secretary of the Army for Financial Operations and a distinguished member of the Senior Executive Service. Mr. Miller, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Corey. I'm glad to be here.
So can you explain to me a little bit about your role as the Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Army for Financial Operations?
Yes, quite a title. I would abbreviate it to say I'm the Army's senior accountant. And some of the responsibilities that go along with that is that I'm responsible for the policy, accounting policy for the Army. Not only accounting policy, but it broadens beyond that. It goes into the area of audit. It goes into reporting of anti-deficiency violations, or ADAs as people refer to them. And I also have an additional duty as far as watching over the internal review staff and the 511 series that we have within the Army and out in the field. Now, that is an asset that belongs to the commanders, but as far as from a policy aspect, here at DA, I represent those individuals and advocate for them on the staff.
So for someone who, like me, is very, very mathematically challenged, you're basically speaking Greek. It's very, very complex. So what are some of the biggest challenges that you face?
Well, one of the biggest challenges that we have today is that of audit. And people wonder a bit about what is audit. I'll speak with that in a little bit, but let me go back to the beginning as far as the accounting mission. Our financial statements are ones that are collected, that are submitted from the Army to OSD to OMB up to the Treasury Department. And so our reporting, in order to see as far as what we're doing with the funds that are entrusted to the Army, I'm responsible for those particular financial statements. So that's number one. That's job one as far as the reporting of that within the Army. So there's the formal reporting. Then there's also as far as the managerial side and whether or not our accounting system provides us the managerial information that we need.
So within all those complex functions that you're in charge of, what do you enjoy most and what do you derive the most satisfaction out of?
Well, there's the work aspect, but then there's also the managerial or supervisory aspect. And I really enjoy the relationship with people. So I'll go that way here in a few minutes. But let me go back. Let me talk first that professional side. And you know, one of the things that we have to realize as far as in our work is the way that the American public sees us, and that they only know what they know from their particular seats. So they expect or they think that we're like them. And so we need to try to respect as far as what they do, the way that they view us, and to have the same accountability structures that others do. My brother that runs a small business, he understands what it is as far as to pay taxes, to be accountable to his workforce, and to it's in the area of as far as public service in that with a charitable organization. So he has those particular requirements, and so he looks at my job and says, well, you should at least meet the same standard that I do. And so relating that back to the workforce and understanding professionally as far as what our financial statements, that they must meet the same rigor as the American public, and they have to have that particular item. So I find that as a particular challenge and fun as far as to let people know that our belief is that we're the same as what occurs out in the commercial sector, and that we're willing to follow the rules. And that's where taking to audit, that is one of the particular challenges. Then I mentioned the managerial side also. You know, I have managed civilians since 1973. And both military, civilian, and contractors. I've learned to deal with each of those. But I find, as far as working with young people, is probably one of the most enjoyable things as far as what I in fact do, as far as bringing people, helping them, assessing their work ethic and the way that they come along and join the workforce.
So you mentioned audit a couple times. So how do you get the Army audit ready? And then why is it important for the Army to remain audit ready? Because I imagine that there's just a bunch of accountants with, you know, your little visors on with calculators and endless streams of ticker tape coming out, and they're just adding it up, punching in numbers. So how do you get it ready, and then why is it important for the Army to remain ready?
Very good, Corey. It is, people sometimes hear that and they think that it's special. I look at it like it's not anything that's really special. It's just a part of what we should be doing as far as our daily business. It's about accountability. It's about being not only telling where money is, but being able to tell where equipment is, where individuals are. It's just the way that we do our business and the particular controls that we put into place that are that make sure that we account for those particular items. Let's take it all the way down to the basics as far as weapons. Okay, so here we're the United States Army, and we have guns. Okay, that doesn't mean that we let people run around with them, use them wherever they want to. We put them under tight controls, and we make sure that we know where they are and that we're accountable for those. It's no different as far as if we're taking care of that, the vehicles that we drive, the tanks that we have, the helicopters that we have to be accountable for those particular items. So this is just simply a matter of, as far as enforcing, knowing what the particular standard it is, and then enforcing that. In an organization as large as the Army, there's this opportunity as far as trying to standardize, to know that that location A is doing it the same way as location B, so that the auditors can determine that. But it is not audit. I look at it as far as just simply doing what we're supposed to do the right thing. How do we build that particular standardization? And well, we're getting ready to come out with an XORD that will control as far as the audit activity. We made a switch this year. We went from audit ready to now we're talking about audit remediation. We have expanded the scope of our audit, where it includes all financial statements that we have, not just the limited scope audits that we were doing before, but we're doing all financial statements. That's like the balance sheet, okay? We have a statement of budgetary resources, which shows the funds that we receive and where we spent them. That's another statement that we have. So we have these, all of the statements, they're looking at the full breadth as far as what we have. This will meet our requirements as far as to Congress, as well as I think build the trust as far as the American public. So the XORD is one particular method that we have gone through and says, okay, now we're really going to audit. We're really doing this. We have the executive order, so we have that directive out to the field as far as what to do.
So let's switch gears and let's talk about you. How did you build your career?
Early in my when I was in high school, I made the decision that I would go into bookkeeping and accounting. So I made a choice early. I like mechanical drawing. I was considering architecture. I liked math, but yet I didn't see that going anywhere. But I did enjoy debits and credits. And so I early on said that I wanted to be the Secretary of the Treasury. This was in high school. I said I wanted to be Secretary of the Treasury. So when I started college, I was majoring in accounting, and then this was during Vietnam, and I was an ROTC graduate, and so I came in, and I chose as a finance officer is where I came in, and so I started there, and like I mentioned earlier, as far as I started supervising military and civilians right off the bat, and so I followed that particular career. I liked it. I liked what they were doing. I was trained as far as in the area of accounting. That was different as far as many of the the finance officers at the time. And I got on a particular track there as far as being an accountant and continued to follow through.
So you've worked at different echelons of the Army. You've worked at installations, you've worked at command, and now you're at headquarters. So which level did you enjoy most, and then what did you take out of each one of those positions?
I've actually enjoyed working at the headquarters Department of the Army the most. But I think one of the reasons that I enjoy that, Corey, is the way that I came up through is I had that fundamental, I had the fundamentals behind as far as what I did. At installation level, I picked those particular skills. In the first office that I went through, I went through each of the five areas as far as I handled the cash, I handled the daily operations, I went into military pay, I went into commercial accounts, the payment of vendors. I went in to be the chief of accounting and learned the areas there. So I got the foundation as far as how everything worked at a finance and accounting office at that installation level and understood that. So I picked up those particular skills. Then Army says, okay, you have those skills, let's send you out and let you inspect. Let's let you inspect what is occurring at other installations. So I got to go on and see that. So I got to see a lot. And it says something about what you do as far as in your particular path, as far as learning your skill, and then being able to use the skill and see other places. So I would say don't go to a job where individuals, where you're pushed into one position and you don't have other opportunities in order to move on. There, as far as individuals, they have to realize that they need to move from one location to another location. If not one location to another location, from one job to another job. So in my counseling to individuals, whether they're military or civilian, is go to a place where there's greatest number of opportunities so that you don't get stuck in one place. If you want to move up, then learn your trade and then be at a place that you have other opportunities in order to move through. And then so I went through, I saw all those installations. I had some activities as far as several assignments, as far as at large installations, mega installations, that type environment. And then I finally moved up to DA. I came into the National Capital Region, worked at a command level, and then came over into the Pentagon. And so I came into the Pentagon. I worked here in the building for 13 years. And then I was assigned over with the Corps of Engineers and worked with them for 10. And then I came back and have this current job. But I enjoy, it's something about DC, okay? Some people, the traffic stresses them and they can't handle it and they don't like the way that it is here, but I don't find that stressful. I find what happens within the Pentagon is key, but I know that we're here supporting those individuals in the field is the reason that we're here.
So let's switch gears and talk about mentorship. During your career, did you have a mentor?
I have several mentors, okay, and I have individuals that I rely upon, and how do you work with mentors? Okay, so yes, I have them today. Okay, I keep about 5 people that I go to, and it's what do you expect? I mean, there is an ownership that it goes 2 ways, and you have to break down some walls as far as personally, as far as the way that you view it and what you're doing. When individuals come to me and ask me to be a mentor, I say, well, let us define what mentorship is to us or what it is to me so that I can mentor you. It is your job to bring your problems to me and open up and express what particular problem you have. But all I'm doing is I'm here not to tell you what to do, but I'm here to grade your proposal. You're supposed to come to me with your problem and with your course of action, and I will tell you how I view your course of action and where it will work. Now, so that's mentorship and what it is to me, and how I can, in fact, affect the particular outcome as far as what they have. What many people think is they believe that mentorship is really what I call sponsorship, or being a champion for an individual. Because I will ask them, what do you want? What do you want the relationship to be? And they say, well, I want to get promoted. And I'll say, well, then we're not talking about the type of mentorship, okay? We're talking about being a sponsor there. Now, I choose sponsors. I don't have people come and ask me to choose them. I choose them myself as far as in the area of champion an individual, and as far as getting them the job. Or if they have a particular skill that I want to push, I do that. But that's a little bit different than what mentorship. And I look at mentorship as far as trying to solve an individual's problem that they have after they have thought through what they need to do.
So you mentioned that you've been managing soldiers, civilians, and contractors since 1973, I believe.
Yes.
Do you find that there's a difference between managing civilians and soldiers?
A very little difference, okay? I treat them the same. I give them the same advice as far as as far as what to go and what particular decisions to make, what particular jobs to go after, and where they should go. So I look at it as if everyone needs to be treated with dignity and respect. And so why would you treat a military any different than you would a civilian? I've had those instances in my career where I have put in policies that said, no, you will not make that military person work overtime without giving them the same notification that you give a civilian. Let me expand on that just a little bit. With a civilian, if you're going to give an individual, tell them that they have to work tonight, did you know about that the night before? Doesn't it make more sense?
You're not tasking me, are you?
No.
Because I didn't know about it the night before.
No, but why don't I let you know the night before so that you can take care of the family situations or the personal arrangements that you have, that you can make the plans for it. So I think civilians ought to do that, but I also think the military should be treated the same way. Is that individuals do have lives outside the work. Now, there are emergencies, and you're going to have to violate that sometime, but as a general practice, notifying individuals to work overtime 24 hours in advance I'm an advocate of that.
So you've touched on your mentorship philosophy, and now I'm curious to learn about your management and leadership philosophy.
You know, I have 8 direct reports, okay? And there are approximately 50 people as far as within the branch. It's within my area of responsibility, and then there's 100 contractors. Well, I have to make sure that as far as my particular tasking is that I talk to the right people. And I have to use those 8 direct reports, and those are the individuals that I talk to about getting the job done, and getting the job done, and not confuse the workforce by bypassing those direct reports. So that doesn't mean then you have to be approachable. Okay, you have to let the rest of the workforce come to talk to you. You talk to them about things, but as far as the tasking aspect, it needs to be clear as far as where I am going as far as tasking and who I am holding accountable. So that is very much the way that I work with them as far as knowing. Now, how do I communicate with them and management style? You know, people like to they like to have the personal. They like to have the personal touch. So what I do with my individuals is each of the direct reports gets 30 minutes each week where they come in and they talk to me about what they're doing, what particular items they are. But it's good for both of us. It's good for me to be with them one-on-one to talk about what particular items that we share and what particular, and follow up on the particular actions and give them the opportunity to they like that type of personalization. And so, but I do it with them. I don't do it with everyone within the branch. Now, under some circumstances, I have done that. As far as if you go into a new organization and it isn't exactly the way that you want it, it's not working the way that you want it to be, then you can open up and have these one-on-one sessions. I started off as far as every 4 months. And then I cut it to every 6 months, and then I went to once a year, and I would bring them in on their birthday and have them and wish them happy birthday, but talk about whatever was happening with the family or that. But that's building the climate within the organization. So tasking as far as going to direct supervisors, to those direct reports, maintaining an open door policy as far as anyone else, and developing some way as far as to communicate with those individuals. I find it difficult as far as being remote, having remote employees here in the environment now. As far as I do have individuals that work outside of the immediate workplace, that they work in a different building here in the National Capital Region, and I find that difficult. I try to make it over to that office once a week in order to see those individuals that work there. So there has to be that particular personal side. Now, as far as a management style, and a little bit about that, I believe every day when I come in that people are here to do the right thing and that they're as excited about coming to work as I am, and that they have to contribute to the organization in some way. And the best way to contribute is through having deliverables, and as far as them knowing that they own a piece. That they own a piece of the company, and that the company is depending upon them to generate that report, to review these particular actions, but that they have an ownership and a stake, and it's important that they come to work every day. In getting that particular item through, then people understand now. How do you manage, and are you over people's head all the time? Absolutely not. But there is a responsibility that we identify the standards, and that people know as far as what they're supposed to do and at what quality level. If they know that, then you don't feel like you have to be watching over the shoulder, okay? But you can simply review as far as that it does in fact do what you want, that they're doing it in the way that you want it to be done, and that they understand the standard, they accept the standard, and they do it at that level. And then management becomes so much more easily when you do have those particular standards. So how you approach the people, how you assign work, and then the particular climate that you have as far as the standards for the work to be performed.
So it sounds like you're really big into ownership and having people own what they do, and coming to you with questions or issues along the way, obviously with a course of action, and then kind of just not micromanaging, but just having them have ownership of what they do.
Right. Yes, Corey.
So is networking important, and if so, why? And then the third part to that is, how can someone grow and develop their networking skills? It is a personal responsibility as far as being out there. Now, I claim to be an introvert. Many people tell me that I'm not an introvert. They say I'm an extrovert. Well, I can tell you I'm an introvert. Where I get my power from, and I enjoy my time off, and I enjoy it, and I enjoy that alone time. But I have a responsibility as far as, and that is creating the network, and creating the network for the organization, creating the social network, but that is what we thrive upon. So it is important that people understand that they make the opportunity as far as to network. If there's that social that the office is having, it could be the Army ball, but it's so much more fun if you go together as far as a group, and that you're there and you create that particular bond and start to understand things other than just work itself. But so when you're at a particular course or whatever it may be,
approach that course as far as if it's an opportunity to see what particular skills other people have, and when you have a particular problem, then you approach, then you know who to call. And that if you build that particular type of bond with individuals, then it gives you more resources available to you. They're not mentors, but it's like it becomes your own little corporation, as far as who you can go to help solve your problems. That's one of the reasons that I keep. I said I have several mentors. Now they're friends that I respect. I value their particular opinion, but to the point that I'm willing to share my particular problems. In trying to get the Corps of Engineers audit ready, or to get the Army, I can't do it. I can't do it alone. I have to have different strategies as far as to move that football down the field. I can't do it. I can't do it alone. I need to have some strategies as far as to do it, and that's where I use. But so networking, mentorship, all of these skills is the social being that we are, and as far as how we get along with it. So networking, people think of that as far as being about a lot about work, and it is. But so we have to reach out there. And to get it ourselves. It's not one that just comes naturally. And it's another one that, as far as a particular skill that you have to push yourself. If you are an introvert, then they're not gonna come to you, okay? You're gonna have to go to them, and you're gonna have to build your own network.
So if you put yourself out there a little bit, then you're going to have a much more well-rounded experience in the workplace, and derive a lot more enjoyment, not of only what your job do, but also of your coworkers as well.
That is correct, and that's the atmosphere that you want to create. You know, sometimes individuals like to they say, he is so good, I want him to stay in the organization. Well, we as managers have to view as far as that good people are in fact going to go on, okay? And it's a matter of the climate that we create within the organization that fosters, as far as you lose a good person, you bring in another good person. It's the reputation of the organization that matters. And as far as the one that you have to create, that people say, hey, I want to work in financial operations. That they think that it's a good place to work, and they know that we'll give them an opportunity, not only to tell them 24 hours before they work overtime.
So, you're an Army civilian. So I want to know what you take the most pride in as a professional.
You know, it's getting the job done. And it's getting done to that particular standard that I made reference to. But in being recognized that what we do, now this is what I really try to push, is that individuals look at us as federal employees, that we care and that we deliver and we do things the same way that the commercial sector does. Even though we're public, we should be as good as those individuals as far as in the private. They're within the Corps of Engineers, I would say. The Corps of Engineers has to be as good as any other construction firm. Okay, we have to do the same type of accounting for the Corps as a private construction firm would. The same applies here. Is we have to hold ourselves to a particular standard that is the same. So I take great pride in knowing that we are pushing ourselves to that particular way, and that we're meeting the standard, and that we will be respected by individuals as far as out in the American public.
So that kind of leads me to my next question. What does success look like to Mr. Wes Miller?
You know, it's tough times here as far as that the government is criticized. It is criticized quite a bit, and people think that that we're not doing as far as exactly what we should do, or and maybe but the success aspect is having that respect, and that we meet the particular transparency requirements as far as government, that we're seen as good stewards. That is what I press forward. Here we have been using the word as far as audit quite a bit within the government, within Department of Defense right now. But I really think that I would like to see us be viewed more as good stewards of the resources that we're provided, and that people know that audit is one component of it, but as far as the way that we handle the funds, and people thinking that yes, we care, we do what we're supposed to do, and that we can show it, and we're willing to open our books to public accounting firms in order to see the way that we in fact take care of the resources that the people have.
So, Mr. Miller, that's all the questions I have. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, Corey, thank you. Thanks for this particular series and giving individuals an opportunity to get views as far as what is occurring, as far as at the headquarters DA level, and hopefully it relates back as far as the way individuals see their particular life, and where they are in at their level. You know, when those young guys would come in and see me, I would say, look, there's not any difference between you and me, except I'm a little bit older, okay? And I have a little bit more experience in some areas than you do. But the educational aspect is as far as you're more current than I am, okay? So don't let that intimidate you. I will give you that voice at the table, okay? So you speak up, you take advantage of it. And that's what I would like to see, where I'd like to see us go, and that people care about themselves, but realize that they have a place also. Please be respectful of that experience. That experience there, because it will push you. But there really is. You have got to approach individuals with that particular dignity and respect. Is that, hey, they have a mind. They have a mind also. So I wish everyone, as far as that particular opportunity to go forward and to use and start building that experience for themselves.
Well, Mr. Miller, I know you've got a lot going on. You're trying to get the Army ready, so the Army audit ready. So I want to thank you for what you do for the Army on a daily basis. And I really appreciate you coming. Thank you so much.
Certainly.
Appreciate it.